Hello, welcome back. I'm going to continue to talk about the book King Paimon, Lord of the Endless Silence, The Lord of the Abyss, a grimoire written by me, Anaiz Giulia. I am the author of the book, and this is a recording that is part of a playlist where I talk in different recordings about King Paimon, about the book, about different exercises. When we speak about King Paimon directly, we speak about magic, about things that are very elevated, out of this world, unseen, unheard, untouched. There's always an element of new when it comes to Paimon. There's not one thing the same. Even if it is a repetition, King Paimon always adds a new element. It is part of his magic. It is part of who he is. There's none greater than King Paimon in his knowledge, in his wisdom, in the way he works. That's a very unique way that King Paimon is able to transfer wisdom and transfer insights that are absolutely breathtaking, mind-revealing from all point of view, past, present, and future. So King Paimon is a magician. He is the king of the West. One can study King Paimon, who King Paimon is, what his past or origin, from where he comes, what King Paimon represents. It's almost to say there is a feeling that accompanies King Paimon that I know. I know who King Paimon is. I know his feeling. I know what he's about. And through these recordings, I'm always trying to transfer some type of wisdom, some type of insights that is helpful. So in this recording, I'm going to speak a little bit about some new things that I want to talk about, and in the end I'm going to do a reading from the book. King Paimon is a book now that I have written, and I would like to read for us from the book. I will open the book on a certain page, doesn't matter, and I'm going to read a few pages. Until then, I would like to speak about King Paimon. I would like to speak about the shadows or the darkness and the light. So the light always accompanies the shadow. The word shadow, it means that there is some form of light, otherwise there will not be any shadow. If we speak about total darkness, there is no light, there is no shadow. If we speak about shadow, it means that it is light. Light is coming in, and it reveals something that it is unseen, that it is in the darkness, no? So the shadow includes the light, but the darkness doesn't include the light. The darkness is the absence of light. The shadow is something dark that is illuminated, and it's created a shadow. The shadow is an illusion. Why? It is an illusion because the shadow reveals something, but it is an element of something. No, it is like a second step. It is not the first object. As you say, if we have the mirror and we have more mirrors, we have the reflections of the mirror, but the reflection is not real. It is just a reflection of something, the same as shadow is. They all work with light. There is the element of light is very important, no? And if we talk about total darkness, if we talk about the abyss, of the endless abyss, there is a space where no light can enter. That's the meaning of the abyss: total darkness, eternal darkness, the darkness, no, that no light can penetrate, and no light can reach, and no light can touch. So the element of darkness, it's total opposite to the element of light. Dark and light, they are a scale. One is totally on the other end of the scale, and the other one is totally on the other end of the scale, no? Left and right, doesn't matter. But what I want to say is that even if they are so far apart, they still are able to work with one another, no? There is still the element of coming together, dark and light, and then the shadow is created. There is some type of illumination. but the illumination too carries shadow. That's what King Paimon teaches. There's nothing that one learns or does and so on and so forth that is not brought to light. Everything is brought to light because the shadow, even being an illusion, it is the answer. The shadow gives the answer. If you have an object, if you see the shadow, you can recognize what object is, or you may recognize, not always necessarily, but it does give clues. It does say almost betrays, the shadow betrays the light, no? The darkness, almost to say, doesn't care. The darkness is dark. The dark is happy. The darkness is happy in the darkness. No, there's no necessarily need. The darkness doesn't need the light. No. In the same time, we can say the darkness is the absence of light, and lightness or light is the absence of darkness. This is not 100% true, but yeah, it is not false to name it in this way. The eternal darkness, it's almost like a letter O. It is an eternal circle, an eternal element that cannot be won over. The darkness is more powerful than the light. No, say, well, the light can come in and offer some insights or light. No, it opens the darkness and so on and so forth. But the darkness, no, it is more powerful. Why? Which meaning I mean? No, that it is more powerful. The darkness is absolute. The darkness, when we speak about the abyss, something totally dark, it is the reign of the darkness. No, the abyss is the reign of the darkness, the reign of no light. No, there is absolutely no light. And say, well, King Paimon is able to stand in the darkness. No, and he say, well, he is the light. He carries the light. He doesn't need the light from an outer source because he is the light, and he is able to see in the darkness. He is able to be in the darkness. He is darkness. He is part of it. It is his dominion. So it is a very honest way to say, I'm not expecting a outer source to bring the light, because I create the light. Paimon creates the light. How Paimon creates the light? Through his own being, through his own words, through his own wisdom, through his own powers, and so on and so forth. He reigns the darkness. He reigns the abyss, no? The silence and so on. He knows that in those places reigns the power, reigns the source. It is darkness is the source. We tend to always put darkness almost like don't even want to touch it. It's not. We don't want to talk about. We don't want to hear it. We don't like the darkness. We don't, and so on and so forth. But Paimon knows that in the darkness, all answers are given. In the darkness, all is given. No? In the darkness, if one has the courage, in the darkness is the answer. What is the answer? That one carries the light. That is the answer that Paimon is teaching. In the same time, Paimon doesn't care about the light in the meaning of, I need the light, or I cannot survive without the light. He reigns in the darkness. His face is dark. He carries robes. He feels himself comfortable in the darkness, not to be seen, not to be heard, not to be disturbed, not to be talked to, not to be, no. So, yeah, he is more by not being. He knows more, but not by not. I say by not searching necessarily. You know, he knows that everything he carries is inside him. We have the number 3, or we have the number 5, but this is all, how you say, geometry or numbers. This is all tools that Paimon uses. As I've said, a true magician is able to create magic even without tools. Paimon is almost to say, if I was to describe him, he would say, well, I'm able to do this, that, and now I have this object, I have this, I have that, and so on. Sometimes the non-active part of the darkness itself now doesn't need, that is not in need of anything. That's how I can describe King Paimon. Paimon doesn't need anything from no one. He will never bargain. He is not a bargain soul. Give me this, give me that. What King Paimon interests are is his own dominion or his own power, or the things he has to do, and it is not connected to humans. King Paimon is sovereign. King Paimon is king. He doesn't need, he doesn't ask. He is not a bargaining spirit in that way, or man. No, say I'm going to give you this, you give me that. This is low. This is not what King Paimon represents. King Paimon is very high knowledgeable. Okay, there's something that King Paimon carries and no one carries. No, he knows that he's able to, I say, transcend all of this, and say if King Paimon shows himself with his magical powers, it's just because it is a declaration of love or declaration of something that he decides to do, but he doesn't need to. King Paimon, as I've said, is sovereign. Sovereign means that I don't need anyone, I don't need nothing, I am enough for myself. That's the true power, and that's the true power of King Paimon. It is not false, it is correct how King Paimon does. King Paimon is extremely wise, as I've said. I even said in one reading, and it's true, our words, our language, our own understanding is not enough. It's limited. You cannot understand the fullness of King Paimon through constructed language that we have. So even for me, when I talk, it's like, well, he is extremely wise. Even that is a lie. But what words can I use? What words can I use? How can I describe somebody like King Paimon? It is not an easy task. None of the things that I talk here are easy. I try to make them easy. I try to make people understand something that is not understandable almost, no? But even that is false. Of course it is understandable. For me it is, but it's almost to say you take something very complex and then you try to speak it with normal words. That's the limiting aspect of it, no? But that's the beauty of it, because it speaks how great King Paimon is, how advanced, or how how powerful, or how his dominions work. He has more than one dominion, of course. King Paimon is a magician, he's a creator, and some other aspects that I would like to talk are books, and King Paimon is always holding a book. King Paimon loves books, and he has all the books, and he always reads, he always talks from the books. He's the one who always talks, always reads from the books. Books and Paimon are very much connected. I have no question that things are not like a coincidence. The fact that he chose me to write this book for him, and I hope that I honored him in the correct way. Of course, it is not an easy task to write about a subject that is almost to say hidden in starlight, dusk or night. It is not an easy subject to talk about the endless silence or the Lord of the Abyss, but for me, easy or hard don't exist in my vocabulary, because it is a limiting belief. King Paimon opened something that transcends normal beliefs or normal human understanding. That's what King Paimon does. As I've said, if someone is interested in knowledge or interested in something beyond this time, beyond this world, it doesn't matter if it's past or future or present, King Paimon is the one who can do that, but he's not necessarily going to do it. No, as I've said in other recordings, King Paimon doesn't bargain. King Paimon always will stand by the truth, by the power of his dominion, and there's no power that can take away from him nothing. King Paimon holds that power. So the books, or the fact that I have seen in one of my visions where King Paimon took me, it was a part of the abyss. In the same time, it was like a long valley with high mountains, or high, like earth and so on. It was like a road that was going in through that space towards the light, and on the left side, or as much as I could see, there was a huge library that one cannot understand how far away it goes, full with books, full with knowledge. That's very much representative for King Paimon. An aspect, of course. King Paimon carries many different aspects. He is very advanced. King Paimon is very advanced, even in technology, even in the cosmos or any other elements that can continue to work through King Paimon or his different interests. He is absolute, a sage, even little side of the human spirit, of the human heart. His interests are very advanced and very like a multitude of interests, some of them complicated, some of them are not made for the human mind. That's the level of King Paimon. It is a little bit, I don't know why, with a little sadness, well, not necessarily sadness, but almost to say King Paimon was shrouded in darkness and no one ever reached him, and there's a pleasure of King Paimon in showing me things that are only for me. If I decide to talk about them, I try to make justice in some way or another. As I've said, there are some things that I will never talk about to anyone. It is just between me and King Paimon, the things that he shows me. So I'm going to open the book and see what wants to come through. And I'm going to read from the book for us, and it is page 102. And you, Elara, have come seeking the greatest treasure of all, the heart of possibilities. Elara whispered, feeling her heart race with anticipation. But how can I claim it? What must I do? The guardian's voice softened, its words like the rustling of leaves in a breeze. The heart of possibilities is not something you can take, nor something you can hold. It is not an object, but a truth, a realization. To claim it, you must face the greatest test of all. Not a test of strength, nor a test of knowledge, but a test of your heart. Elara felt a stirring deep within her, a sensation of both fear and exhilaration. What could this test be? What would she have to face? Tell me, guardian, she said, her voice steady despite her inner turmoil. What must I do? The guardian's presence grew still, and for a moment the world seemed to hold its breath. You must choose, the guardian said simply. You must make a choice, one that will shape your future. It will not be an easy choice, nor one that will be clear, but it will be yours, and yours alone. As the words echoed in Elara's mind, the garden around her began to shift once again. The flowers of light twisted and changed, their colors fading into the shadows. The air grew heavy, and Elara felt the weight of countless decisions pressing upon her. Suddenly 2 paths appeared before her, one bathed in golden light, the other shrouded in darkness. The golden path seemed inviting, its warmth promising peace and safety. The dark path, on the other hand, felt uncertain, its shadows cloaking the road ahead in mystery. Elara knew instinctively that the golden path would lead her to comfort, to a life that was easy and familiar. But the dark path held something different, something unknown. The guardian voice came again, soft and knowing. One path leads to what you have always desired, while the other leads to what you must become. The choice is yours, Elara. Choose wisely. Elara stood frozen, the weight of the decision pressing upon her chest. She thought of all the times she had chosen the easier road, the road that promised safety, that promised comfort. But she always thought of the moments when she had longed for something more. A purpose beyond mere survival, a life that was truly her own. With a deep breath, she stepped forward, her heart steady. I choose the unknown, she whispered. I choose the path that will make me who I am meant to be. The moment Elara made her choice, the garden around her shifted once again. The golden path faded, and the darkness before her became a shimmering light. Before her stood a heart of possibilities, not as an object to be held, but as a presence, a feeling that filled her chest with warmth and strength. The guardian's voice echoed in the air, gentle and proud. You have chosen, Elara. You have embraced the unknown, and in doing so you have claimed the greatest treasure of all, the power to shape your own destiny. Elara felt the truth of the guardian's words wash over her. In that moment she understood. The true treasure of the secret garden was not in any treasure chest or forgotten artifact. It was in the freedom to choose, to create her own path, and to step into her future with courage. And as she turned to leave the garden, she knew that the road ahead, though uncertain, would be hers to walk, guided not by fate, but by her own heart. In the end, the greatest treasure is not what we possess, but the power to choose. The secret garden lies not in the world, but within us all, waiting for the moment we are ready to embrace it. In the ancient and shadow halls of forgotten realms, where the winds carry the whispers of ages past, there arose a being, one not of mortal birth, not of celestial creation, but a convergence of desires, ambitions, and unspeakable knowledge. His name was Paimon, a king among the demonic, a sovereign not of lands but of secrets, of paths untaken and of choices unspoken. Paimon was not born into his power, nor did he inherit it from a lineage of kings. His reign was built upon the foundation of choice. The choices that mortals and immortals alike made in moments of hesitation, the decision they left unspoken, the path they did not take. In his domain, the very fabric of existence wove around the unseen, the undone, and the unsaid. To be in Paimon's presence was to be in the presence of possibility itself, the potential for all things and none at all. He was not feared in the way of brute forces or violent tyrants. No, Paimon was feared because he revealed truths that were better left unseen. Truth about the human heart, about the soul's endless yearning for more, for meaning. He ruled not with a crown of gold, but with a crown of choice, and it was in the unspoken choices that his power lay. It is said that Paimon made his first pact not with kings or warriors, but with a humble scholar named Ardelon. Ardelon, the last archivist of the city of Cirta, was the man consumed by knowledge. A man who sought to know the limits of the universe itself. He was known for his insatiable thirst for understanding, for unraveling the mysteries that bound reality together. But like many who seek to uncover all truths, Ardelon had come to a great crossroads in his life. It was during the final hours of the city's fall, as its grand libraries crumbled into ruin, that Paimon first spoke to Ardelon. The scholar had discovered a forbidden text, a book that whispered to him of things far beyond human comprehension. It was here that Paimon made his offer. You seek knowledge? Paimon's voice echoed in Ardelon's mind, calm yet powerful. But what is knowledge without the power to act upon it? What is the use of seeing the future if you cannot alter it? Come, accept my gift, and I will show you the path not only to understanding, but to control. The price for this gift was not wealth or servitude, but a far more insidious currency. Ardelon's choices. Each time he chose to accept Paimon's gift, he would surrender a part of his will to the demon, until eventually he will no longer be able to choose at all. But Ardelon, eager for the forbidden knowledge, accepted. He signed a pact, and in that moment the world around him shifted. The walls of the crumbling city were replaced by a vast and endless void, filled with swirling images of possibilities, futures, past, and presents, all collapsing into one. Paimon stood before him, not as a demon of fire or shadow, but as something far more terrifying, a reflection of all the choices Ardelon had ever made and all the ones he had not. It is said that the moment one steps into the presence of Paimon, they are not shown what they are, but what they could have been. Ardelon found himself standing before 9 mirrors, each reflecting a different version of himself. These were not simple reflections, no. They were reflections of what he had denied, choices he had made, or perhaps choices he had feared to make. The first mirror showed him as a warrior, a conqueror who had taken the throne of Cirta by force, crushing all opposition in his wake. The second reflected him as a sage, a peaceful philosopher who had chosen to renounce the world's violence. Another mirror depicted him as a lover, a man who had embraced a life of passion and tenderness. Each mirror reflected a different Ardelon, each one shaped by a choice he had not made. Yet there was one mirror that stood apart, untouched and shrouded in shadow, the 9th mirror. This mirror was forbidden, for it did not reflect what one could be. It reflected what one would be if they surrendered completely to the demon. Despite the warnings, Ardelon was drawn to it. He stepped forward, his hand trembling as it reached toward the mirror. The glass rippled and shifted, as though alive, and in an instant he was no longer in the garden of mirrors. He was on a throne, sitting in a darkened hall that seemed to stretch beyond time itself. Before him Paimon stood, not as a demon, but as a convergence of all versions of himself. The demon was no longer a singular entity, but the embodiment of choices, a teacher, a tormentor, a twin. It was then that Paimon spoke. The mirror is not your prison, it is your proof. You see now, Ardelon, that the power you seek is not in knowledge or control. It is in the choices you make, the freedom you have to choose what you become. I do not give power, I reveal what you already possess. Ardelon's heart raced as the truth unfolded before him. He had never been seeking payment, he realized. He had been seeking permission to become what he had feared, permission to embrace the fullness of his potential, even if it meant losing himself in the process. Payment's gift, however, came at a cost, for in revealing to Ardelon the endless path that stretched before him, the demon also revealed the emptiness that lay in every choice not taken. Ardelon was granted the power to shape the future, to see the consequence of every action before it was taken, but this came with a profound loneliness. He knew all too well the price of every decision. The burden of too many choices, not freedom, but paralyzes. Over time, Ardelon began to question whether the knowledge he had gained was truly a gift or a curse. Every action he took felt predestined, every moment filled with the weight of infinite possibilities. He had gained everything, yet lost his sense of self. And so Ardelon came to understand that Paimon's greatest gift and greatest curse was not power, but the endless reflection of what could be. He had not truly been given the ability to control the future, but the power to experience all of its infinite versions at once. In the end, Ardelon stood at the edge of the ninefold mirror once more, and for the first time he saw Paimon for what it truly was. Not a demon of destruction, but a keeper of choices, a guide through the labyrinth of existence. It was then that Paimon's final words to him came. Your power lies not in the past, nor in the future. It lies in the present moment. The question is not what you will become, but what you choose to be. Ardelon closed his eyes and finally understood. His greatest choice had always been before him, to embrace the chaos of possibility, or to walk away free from the burden of endless reflection. And in that moment he made his choice. He stepped away from the mirror, from the hall of endless possibilities, and into the world beyond. The power to choose had always been his, and it was a power he would carry with him, into the future, into the unknown. In the dark expanse between the realms, beyond the reach of stars and the boundaries of time, there exists a place where all is still. It is neither land nor sea, neither sky nor earth. It is a realm of perfect silence, a space that vibrates with an airy absence. Some call it the abyss, but those who have ventured there and returned, or those who claim to know the true nature of it, call it the stillness. It is a place outside of all things, a place where thought itself is lost in the void. And it is there that King Paimon resides, though not in the way one might expect. Paimon, the king of hidden knowledge, the ruler of all that lies in the depths of the human heart, does not govern the realms with force. His power lies in the void itself, in the unknown and the unseen. He does not rule over kingdoms or armies. No, Paimon rules over the abyss, the silence that lies beneath all things, the void where no answers can be found, only more questions. The abyss is not a prison, though many perceive it as such. To be there is not to be bound by chains, but to be alone with one's own truth. In the stillness nothing speaks, and all choices echo in the hollow dark. It is here that Paimon reveals himself to those who wander too far from their own certainty. Lucian had heard the stories, the whispers about the abyss, the realm where all answers are lost. He had heard of Paimon, a name that echoed in every forbidden text, in every myth spoken in hushed tones. Paimon was the king of the abyss, the keeper of all that lay hidden in the deep recesses of the human soul. But Lucian did not fear the abyss. He did not fear silence. He had come seeking something that could not be found in the realms of men, something that had eluded him for his entire life. Lucian was a scholar, a seeker of truth beyond the reach of ordinary minds. He had studied the ancient tomes, deciphered the forbidden languages, and unlocked the secrets of forgotten civilizations. But no matter how much he learned, no matter how many truths he uncovered, there was always something missing. There was an emptiness within him, a hunger for knowledge that could not be satisfied. One night, driven by his insatiable curiosity, Lucian ventured into the heart of the abyss. He followed the ancient rituals, the one whispered about in the old texts, and stepped into the void. At first there was only darkness. The silence was absolute, a silence that pressed against his mind like a physical weight. There were no stars, no light, no sense of direction, and then within that void he felt a presence. It was not a force nor a being, but something more subtle, an awareness. And that awareness was aware of him. Lucian's heart quickened, and yet there was no fear in him. He had come seeking answers, and the presence before him was the one who could give them. "Who are you?" Lucian's voice broke the silence, but his words were swallowed by the abyss, as if they were never meant to be heard. Yet the answer came, not through sound, but through the very fabric of the stillness itself. "I am Paimon," the voice resounded, but it was not spoken aloud. It reverberated with Lucian's mind, an echo of thoughts and emotions rather than words. "I am the king of this realm, the keeper of the abyss. You have sought me, and now you stand before me. But know this, the abyss does not answer the question you ask. It answers the one you do not dare to ask." Lucian's mind raced. The words were cryptic, but they felt like a promise that the truth, he thought, will not come easily. "I seek knowledge," Lucian said, his voice trembling in the vast empty silence. "I wish to know the nature of the universe. I wish to understand the things that cannot be understood." "You do not seek knowledge," Paimon's voice replied, and it seemed to ripple through the very fabric of the abyss. "You seek certainty, you seek comfort in answer, but the abyss offers no such things. It offers only the stillness, the place where all answers fade, and only the pure essence of the question remains." Lucian paused. The words struck deep within him, as if Paimon had seen the core of his desires, his very soul. "You are not here for answers," Paimon continued. "You are here because you wish to understand your own silence. You wish to confront the emptiness that exists in every human heart. That is the true question." Paimon's words hung in the air like an invisible weight, heavy and suffocating. Lucian felt himself caught in the stillness, surrounded by the vast expanse of nothingness. It was not the silence of the physical world, but the silence of the soul, a silence that made his own thoughts seem distant and foreign. His mind, usually filled with a constant world of thoughts, was now empty, and it terrified him. "Why do you fear this silence, Lucian?" Paimon's voice echoed again, now like the softest of whispers. Yet it reverberated through every fibre of his being. "It is only in silence that you will find your truth. Only in the stillness will you see what you have been running from all your life." Lucian tried to speak, to fill the silence with his own thoughts, but his words were lost, swallowed by the abyss. He could feel his mind unraveling, unable to hold onto the thoughts that had defined him. For the first time in his life he felt utterly alone, and then in the silence he understood. The questions he had asked, the questions about the universe, about existence, were not the true questions. The real question was not what he sought to know, but why he sought to know it. The hunger, the emptiness, the constant search for answer, these were the things that kept him bound, that kept him chained to a world of illusion and false certainty. The stillness of the abyss was not his enemy. It was the mirror that reflected his own soul, stripped bare of all the distractions of the world. Lucian stood in the heart of the abyss, staring into the endless black. His heart still raced, but now it was not with fear, it was with awareness. He had seen his own emptiness, his own needs for answers, and he had come face to face with the truth. The true wisdom did not lie in the accumulation of knowledge, but in the acceptance of silence, of the unknown. Paimon's presence loomed over him like a distant star, a being who had seen the depths of every soul. "The abyss is not your prison, Lucian," Paimon's voice whispered, soft yet undeniable. "It is your liberation." And Lucian realized that just the abyss held no answers, it also held no judgment. It was neither punishment nor reward. It was simply being, vast, eternal silence where all things came to rest. To be in the abyss was not to confront the truth of one's existence, to stand still in the face of uncertainty. In that stillness, Lucian made his choice. He chose to remain, not in search of answers, but to learn the art of silence, to be at peace with the unknown. And as he did, the abyss seemed to pulse with a quiet approval, as if the universe itself had finally found its balance. The abyss is not a place of despair, but a realm of endless potential. To meet Paimon is not to find the answers you seek, but to find the questions you have avoided. In the stillness, the soul is free to face the silence of its own truth. Lucian stood in the heart of the abyss, no longer overwhelmed by the vast silence, but absorbed into it like a drop of water sinking into the ocean. The truth was there before him. The silence of the abyss was not something to be feared or conquered. It was something to be embraced. Yet, even as he began to understand the stillness, a question lingered at the edge of his mind. What was his next step? Could he leave the abyss? Could he return to the world beyond, knowing the knowledge he had uncovered in this place? Or was he now bound by this silence, by the revelation of his own emptiness? Paimon's voice interrupted the heavy quiet, but did not startle Lucian. It felt more like a gentle breeze stirring the leaves of his thoughts. You have found peace in the stillness, Lucian, but the world beyond the abyss is not still. It is alive, ever-changing, a web of choices. The question now is whether you will live with this peace or whether you will take the abyss with you. Lucian did not respond immediately. The stillness in the abyss had given him a sense of clarity that no noise, no bustling city or clattering mind could ever offer. He could feel every moment in his body, every breath like a whisper of life, a reminder of his own existence. Yet the world he had left behind would soon reclaim him. The question of man, the endless quest for knowledge, the ceaseless desire to know more, it was all waiting for him. But Paimon had asked him a question, one that carried no judgment, only an invitation. He was at the precipice between two worlds, the one of stillness and the one of endless motion. I don't know if I can live without this peace, Lucian finally said, his voice quiet but firm. The silence, the knowing of myself, of the emptiness, it is like a balm to my soul. How could I return to a world full of noise, of constant demands? Paimon's answer was not in words, but in a soft stirring of the silence around him. The abyss seemed to ripple with a current of unseen possibilities, as if the very fabric of the void had opened just a little further. Lucian could sense 1,000 paths before him, each one leading back to the world he had left, yet each path felt as though it was tangled with threads of doubt, fear, and uncertainty. You can live with the peace, Paimon said finally, his voice like the first light of dawn breaking through the shadows, but you must learn to carry it within you. The stillness is not a place that can be left behind, Lucian. It is a part of you now, a seed planted in the soil of your soul. You will return to the world, yes, but you do not return as the same man. You return as one who knows the power of silence, who understands that within the stillness there is great strength. Lucian felt the weight of those words settle deep within him. The path to return would not be one of ease. To step back into the world from the abyss meant embracing the noise, the chaos, the ever-churning web of existence. But now he understood that it was not about rejecting the noise. It was about being able to find peace within it. Before him a path unfolded, luminous and yet shadowed, leading towards the edge of the abyss. He could see the silhouette of the world beyond, a world full of distractions that had once consumed him. But now there was something different about the world. It was no longer a realm he had not conquered or escaped. It was a place to walk through, with both the wisdom of the abyss and the noise of existence blending in harmony. But before he could take a single step, Paimon's voice came again, stronger this time, echoing through the fabric of the void. There is a final test, Lucian. You must let go of the need to understand everything, to answer every question. True power is not in the knowledge of the unknown, but in the acceptance of it. Lucian's heart fluttered. What is this final test? To embrace the unknown without needing to control it? He felt a strange sense of finality in that moment. The abyss was not about holding on to answers. It was about the understanding that not everything needed an answer. To live fully in the world of man was to be open to the unknown, to let the questions linger without the pressure to solve them all. Lucian closed his eyes for a moment, his breath steady and deep. He could feel the pulse of the abyss within him, the rhythm of the stillness that now ran like an undercurrent through his every thought and action. The peace he had gained was not an escape from the world. It was his anchor in it. With a steady step he began to walk forward, leaving the abyss behind him, but carrying its silence within. The path was no longer dark, but illuminated by a soft glow that seemed to emanate from within his own being. The world beyond awaited him, a world of questions, of noise, of chaos. Yet, as Lucien approached the threshold, he knew that he could navigate it with a newfound clarity. Paimon's voice lingered like a whisper in his mind, reminding him of his choice. You will return to a world that is not still, but remember, true stillness is not an absence of sound, it is the presence of awareness.